Been working on my Africa Twin. This is a 2022 CRF 1100 D4 Africa Twin, and I've owned this bike for just a little over a year. I've got coming up on almost 6,000 miles, and I'm going to be replacing the tires soon. It has the original Bridgestone tires on it that it came with when I bought the bike. And so I'm going to go ahead and take the wheels off and take the wheels and the tires down to a motorcycle tire shop here in town and have them go ahead and mount up the new tires. And this is not about which tires. What I wanted to talk about in this video a little bit is just getting the wheels off and back on again. And I'm not going to do it in this video, but I'm going to kind of show the procedure that I'm at the moment as far as trying to get the bike ready so that I can take the wheels off. So I'm going to just point out a few things here. Turn this camera around. Okay, so to begin with, I think, as you can see, I've got it lifted so that I can remove the wheels. Both the rear wheel and the front wheel are off of the ground right at the moment. And so I can have the bike setting like this while the tires are being replaced with the wheels removed. But a couple of the things, I'll probably take the front wheel off first and then the back wheel. And the reason for that is I'll probably, well, I'm not sure I'm going to do it that way, but it might not make that much difference. But I usually like to have an extra point of contact when I'm taking one wheel off. And when you set this bike up on the rear wheel stand, the front wheel is still on the ground touching. You can't take the wheel off, the front wheel off at that point. So that's the reason I've got this other jack, and I'm going to talk about that too. But one thing on this 2022 model Africa Twin that I'm not too crazy about is I think it's a good idea to have loosened up the axle bolts before you lift the bike. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. It has to do with just stability and having an accident while it's sitting on a jack. And so I can get that nut off, but I've noticed on this 2022 model there's nothing over here to on the opposite side of the axle to hold on to while you twist that. So I guess it just kind of wedges itself into the rear drop arm, and I'm not too crazy about that design. Earlier models of the Africa Twin had a hex on that side so that you could hold on to the axle while you cranked the nut loose. This one doesn't have that. So anyway, I'll loosen up the hardware, then I'll go ahead and take the wheels off and take them on down. So the other thing I wanted to mention was, in order to get this thing lifted so that both wheels are off the ground, got it set up on the rear wheel stand, and then I used this this scissor jack to lift the bike up on the front so that I could get the front wheel up. But you know, Honda doesn't make a very good, this is the skid plate, and I removed this because I didn't want to be jacking on this skid plate. And the other thing that I noticed in their wisdom over here, I took the left skid plate off, but on the right side here, if you look, if I had started jacking on it, maybe you can't see it from that view, but the skid plate is actually bolted into this heat shield that is attached around the muffler, or around the exhaust manifold. And so what a crazy design to have a skid plate attachment point going on to the exhaust. So if you hit something, say goodbye to your exhaust, I guess. Not too pleased with that. The other thing is that when I got the scissor jack in here, for some reason, the way this is currently balanced is it's not actually lifting on both of those frame tubes on the bottom. It's only lifting on the one on the left. The one on the right, there's daylight coming through it. So when I lift this thing, I don't have it really with 2 points of contact on that front scissor jack, which is kind of too bad. So that's just the way that is. And let's see, was there anything else I wanted to mention on this. I think we're about ready to put it back together again because I'm not going to actually do the work today. I had it up on the rear wheel stand because I was replacing this. I added this enlarged foot pad onto the kickstand. Just put that on yesterday, and so I just said, well, while I've got it on the stand, I'm going to go ahead and see what it's going to be to get both tires off the ground at the same time. Haven't done that before with this bike. So that's what's going on with that, and that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show that, and if anybody's got any ideas on a better or safer way to lift these bikes so that they can be worked on, might want to make a mention of that in the comments below. All right.